you just want to be loved, you just want to be nurtured, you just want to be cared for. But when those things don't happen, you lose hope. When I was 11 years old, my life was stolen from me. My neighbors took advantage of me and began to use me for their pleasure from 11 up until I was 18 years old.
Being in law enforcement for 30 years, I worked sex crimes, I ran a domestic violence unit, and many of those victims that I worked with that I thought were a victim of domestic violence was really a victim of human trafficking.
It's a clandestine epidemic, but one that doesn't just occur in the shadows. It can also happen in plain sight.
Of course, sex trafficking occurs both domestic and international. We've seen a considerable amount of trafficking within our state. On the international side with the massage parlors, and being close proximity to the border, some of the labor trafficking did with the agricultural, and some on the restaurant side. On the sex trafficking side, we've seen more activity dealing with prostitution and online ads.
With the dominance of social media in the digital age, more and more victims are being lured, being bought, and being sold online.
We've had husbands, we've had boyfriends, we've had parents post their own family members on a social media platform, advertising sex as an escort, and then they show up.
When these things were happening to me as a kid, I didn't have a safe place to run to. I didn't have the community to support me. I was just a young kid fighting for my life. I felt like I was on the side of the tracks where nobody would come, reaching and pulling, reminding me that I was special, reminding me that there was greatness within myself.
According to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, there were 10,949 human trafficking cases reported in 2018. From those cases, more than 23,000 survivors were identified. However, there was a 25% jump in cases from the previous year, with a total of 51,919 cases from 2007 to 2018.
The demand is still there, and unfortunately there's individuals out there that'll pay to have sex with anyone regardless why they're there, what their situation is. So we see that vulnerable population and many of them are homeless or runaway children that are on the streets, and they get approached by these individuals and they're recruited and they're thought to believe that, that they are taken care of, and they're groomed, and then eventually they're trafficked.
The majority of victims are trafficked for sex, some of them forced into escort services, pornography, and prostitution at high-traffic venues like truck stops.
I got a call from the truck stop in Raton last month, and they said that 3 males dropped off a 16-year-old in the lot of the truck stop, and she was approaching truck drivers.
This story is all too common and all too hidden. Due to fear of retaliation, many witnesses and victims stay silent. But as the problem grows, so too do the tools to fight it.
So immediately, one of the truck drivers called the National Human Trafficking Hotline because he knew that he was supposed to do that based on the training we did.
The training was part of an initiative by the Attorney General's office to educate those in the trucking industry on how to spot human trafficking, as well as how to act upon a hunch.
Every child matters. And even if you don't have a child, look at that child as your child. Have compassion, have love, have generosity. One sound, one man, one movement can change the world.
If it's occurring right now and then, call 911. Notify local law enforcement, and then you can call the National Human Trafficking Hotline or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Look for warning signs. According to the Department of Homeland Security, things like a disconnect from friends and family, failure to attend school, or sudden and dramatic changes in behavior can all be signs of trouble. People living in unstable conditions, appearing to have been coached into social interactions, lack of personal possessions or freedom can point to trouble as well.
I think being aware, report, let us know if there's something that seems suspicious to you. We have a lot of runaway teens out there, and they're a vulnerable population. Our homeless are vulnerable as well, and we need to look out for them. We need to take care of them.
As for the One Ambassadors, you can join one of the education and training teams, help with funding of the Freedom Team, as well as working with Phase 3 survivors on starting a new life.
We have to put in the work, and we have to bring this epidemic completely down. We gotta wipe it out, and we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we will.